Welcome to a new episode of Realities and Facts. Every week, we take you on a journey to learn more about saints, locations, miraculous healings, and events that have happened throughout the centuries. This week, we are going to learn more about Joseph Kassab, known as Nour al-Hardini, a loyal servant to God and a sincere disciple to Jesus, who lived a hermitage life. Let's watch this short documentary together. The monk in his monastery is a king in his castle. His kingdom is his order. His soldiers are his brothers. His triumph is his virtue. His crown is the love of God and his monasticism. His scepter is his chastity and purity. His weapon is his poorness, obedience and prayer. His perfume is his humbleness and meekness. This is how monasticism is. This is how it was and will continue to be. The clever concludes himself. These were the words that the teacher of Saint Nour al-Hardini was known by. Many great saints were his students, notably Saint Shabab, Father of Miracles and the Doctor of Heaven. Nour lived a hermitage life as well as his asceticism and austerity in eating, clothing, and sleeping. He was a loyal servant to God and sincere disciple to Jesus. He was characterized by his patience, humility, and his heart that was always attached to the heavenly treasures. He was known for his culture, education, and teaching in a time which these important things were rare. He is a man of prayer, observance, and piety. He worshipped especially the Eucharist and honored the Virgin Mary, Mother of God. He was known by the Saint of Kfifan, this Lebanese village of the district of Batroun in the northern governorate, which is 440 meters above sea level, which the essence of sanctity of her son Nour excludes. This village, till today, embraces his relics, and in the Saint Combrianos and Justina monastery. Thousands of believers come and visit this sacred place to ask for graces and blessings. Father Nour al-Hardini is an example to Lebanese and a teacher in spiritual life and to families that should carry faith to youth and let them taste prayer. The family of the new blessed was a seed of spiritual invitations. The parents knew how to transmit to their children the sense of God, self-giving, and love to the Christ and Church. With these words, St. Pope John Paul II described Nour al-Hardini in the day of his beatification on May 10, 1998, after confirming the miracle of the healing of André Najm from blood cancer.
وصلنا لفوق نزلوني من البوسطة قعدت على الضريح القديم اللي كان وصليت هيك صلاة كتير من قلبي. صليت قلت له بشفاعتك يا مرنم الله شحتني نقطة دم من دم يسوع يلي بالقربانة بسلام ما بينوصف. بحس بهذا السلام كان هذا الشيء كتير قد ما صليت من قلبي. خلصنا الصلاة قمت وقفت ومشيت دغري أنا صارت أمي دغري هيك دخيلك يا ماما اوعى توقع هيك حسيت حالي بهالنشاط. الناس لاحظوا علي بحس أنا بتحسن إنه يا بابا شو عم بيصير إنه صار في أوقف.
Today a saint is born, Nour al-Hardini, the Lebanese Maronite. Go to him, you shall find what you need. After Sharb al-Makhlouf and Rafa al-Rayis, thousands of Lebanese crowded in St. Peter's Square in Vatican on May 16, 2004, to be witnesses to the canonization of the third saint from Lebanon, Nour al-Hardini, after the confirmation of the miracle of the healing of Mrs. Rose Saad from being blind. The hearts of the Lebanese have been filled with joy and faith, and take this good teacher as their example. He who has followed the footsteps of his divine teacher, Jesus Christ, with all his boldness, stability, spirituality, and sanctity. The teacher of Saint Sherbil in sanctity and liturgy, and the pioneer of cultural renaissance in his order, has become the pride of Lebanon and the East. God has made many miracles by the intercession of Saint Na'amantullah Hardini. Most importantly, the emanation of the bright light from his tomb after his death, where thousands of believers came asking for blessings and healings. This phenomenon has been repeated several times until the essence of this sanctity spread in all the Lebanese regions. After a period of his death, the monks in Kfifan monastery were obliged to open the tomb and were amazed by what they saw, that his body is still the same and hasn't decomposed.
سنين إلنا سنين هالأرض موعودين يا سنين إلنا سنين هالأرض موعودين يطلع الأكوان قديس من لبنان يا سنين إلنا سنين هالأرض موعودين يا سنين إلنا سنين هالأرض موعودين يطلع الأكوان قديس من لبنان ضل يا سنيني قديس حرديني ضل يا سنيني قديس حرديني من أهل قديسين يا نعمة الله علينا رفعنا صوبك بإيدينا يا نعمة الله علينا رفعنا صوبك بإيدينا يا نعمة الله علينا رفعنا صوبك بإيدينا بعينينا قديس دنيا ودين بعينينا قديس دنيا ودين أوليناك بعينينا قديس دنيا ودين.
In a world of darkness and faith recession, where the odor of death has spread due to many sins, the teacher of sanctity walked the same path of his student Sherbil, as a father following his children to be sure that they arrived safely. This saint would be a blessing, lighthouse and incense odor from Lebanon to the world, from a giving church which has great heritage and authenticity to mankind. By his intercession, may God have mercy on our souls and save us. Our next video is about the saint who was born in Cappadocia in 439 AD. He left his rich life and decided to head to the desert to worship God in silence and live his life in divine joy. This is Saint Sabas. The human being tries to live on earth in luxury and joy, but Saint Sabas lived it in divine joy that has enriched his life and made it an example to believers with his humbleness, impartiality, and observance in God. He left his rich life and went to the desert to stay with God and worship Him in silence. Saint Sabas was born in Cappadocia in 439 AD and was raised loving virtue that taught him to unite with God, living the word of the Bible. He rested in peace on January 5, 533 AD at the age of 94. The convent that holds his name is found in Palestine. It is characterized by its unique location that introduces the human being to a sacred and silent life and makes him closer to the heart of Jesus Christ, who Saint Sabas has enriched himself in. Many believers visit this convent to know about this saint who was blessed by God and learned from the monks of this convent who have walked the path of Saint Sabas to reach Jesus Christ. After a history full of miracles that made him a mediator to many people, his relics were returned to the convent in 1965, and after 2 days they were put in another coffin with the presence of the believers. It was clear that a layer of his skin covers his bones. His sanctity wasn't limited by miracles only, but on the condolence that he has spread between people through the grace of God that has kept his body safe and bones unified. Totally like his faith that has remained a beacon to the monastic life. Step by step, sanctity is achieved on a mountain of silence and honest work, from a word that says the name of the Lord, from a sky that sees truth, the truth of the human being, that if he wants to reach heaven, he should take Saint Sabas and other saints as an example to him. The cross, how much it might be far and hard, would be a mount path to heaven where eternal life. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Realities and Facts. Thanks for watching and see you next week.